Othel, you know, it's just over 2 years since the Boston Marathon bombing. Their ordeal now takes a major step toward a conclusion. That's after the jury returned the death sentence for the surviving bomber, now 21-year-old Joe Carsonareff. This despite several jurors who were told believe the argument from the defense that he was influenced by his older brother Tamerlan, who, as you may know, died later in that week doing that shootout with police. Victims of the terrorist attack responded to the news of the death penalty.
This has been a long, exhausting couple of months. It's been healing. I've met so many wonderful people. It does show that through tragedy, people can come together and be warm and supportive.
And victim Sydney Cochran, who nearly bled to death and whose mother lost her legs, tweeted, "My mother and I now think that now he will go away and we will be able to move on. Justice, in his words, an eye for an eye." But you know, other victims saying the death sentence was not appropriate in this case, is it? David Bruno is a criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor and trial attorney who joins us now. First, David, welcome. What's the next procedure going forward? One would assume that the defense attorneys would appeal.
Well, the immediate next procedure is going to be the sentencing. Well, so the defendant may have an opportunity to speak, and the judge will officially order the death penalty sentence. Thereafter, he'll have 10 days to appeal. And the main question here, I think, is will he appeal this sentence? He doesn't have to appeal. In fact, one of the things he wrote in the boat was, "I'm jealous of my brother, who is now dead, and he asked Allah to allow him to return to him." So let me ask you, why doesn't he just waive his rights?
Well, do you think that's possible? You think he may... Look, we're seeing the video of him in jail where he's given the finger to the camera. The jurors and others say he's not remorseful. Do you think there's a possibility that he could waive those rights and say, "I'm not going to appeal this"?
Sure. I mean, Timothy McVeigh did it in 2000. He filed an affidavit with the court, said, "I am waiving my appeal rights up to the U.S. Supreme Court and further appeals." He said he would go into an evaluation to determine his competency to do so, and he could do the same exact thing.
Others, though, say the death penalty was not appropriate. Martin Richard, you know, the little 8-year-old boy who so tragically was killed that day, his parents had a heartfelt plea to the public a couple of months ago, saying, "Don't give Tamerlan the death penalty. It's not appropriate." You know, some say he was 19 years old at the time. The defense attorneys say he was naive and impressionable and all that, and that the death penalty would just, you know, increase the pain through this whole system. And that is the debate.
Sure. I think, you know, everybody respects those opinions. Certainly the Department of Justice took that into consideration. But ultimately, there are a lot of other people who thought that the death penalty was appropriate. And that was the decision the Department of Justice had to make. They did. They moved forward with that, and 12 jurors agreed with that position.
Does it make him a martyr to some, like to the terrorist underworld, an iconic figure? Because a lot of times these terrorists, I think of Ramzi Youssef, who was one of the architects of the World Trade Center bombing. I mean, they threw him away, put him in Supermax for the rest of his life. You don't hear a thing from him, you won't. And he doesn't become a symbol, whereas maybe in death, could that potentially make him a martyr to these terrorist groups?
It won't for me, and I know it won't for you. Let's get away from that thought process. This was a heinous act, and it deserves death. And now 12 jurors have voted for the death penalty.
If he had shown some type of remorse, do you think, if he hadn't written what he wrote in the boat, if he, you know, if the attorneys were not able to address some of this material, do you think perhaps he would have gotten life instead of death? Would there have been something that, could anything have swung this?
Perhaps, right? I think, number one, he would have had to testify before this jury and express the remorse and let the 12 who ultimately determined his fate hear from him. But he had that right, and he chose not to for whatever reason. I don't know what the advice was from his attorney, but he made the choice not to do so. I think it could have helped, but, you know, that's a hypothetical.
And if, as you say, when he has the sentencing, he steps up before the judge, and let's say he has a statement, says, I did it for Allah. It's radical Islamic terrorism. What then?
Well, the judge is going to sentence him to death. That's not going to matter to this judge. And in fact, if he does say that, I would expect the judge to say something in response that would be consistent with most of our opinions.
All right, David Bruno, we thank you so much for your insight on
Thank
this
you, Eric.
terribly
It's great to be here.
disturbing and heartfelt case for all of us.
I agree.
Thank you. Arthel?